The look yesterday of Jason Tindall, second in command at Newcastle, shushing Jurgen Klopp. This is still viral, and this lunchtime it's still trending on social media, whatever that means. I always laugh at that. Have you ever done that? You ever get to the opposing manager?
I've not done that, but we played Blackburn played Hull away with Sam, and part of my responsibility in the game was to wind up Brian Horton and Phil Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And
your responsibility
just to try and affect a situation where they were more focused on us rather
Brian
than
Horton is very wind-upable though, isn't he?
Yeah, and I said a few things that I can't comment on, and at half time the manager said to me, just go and knock on the referee's door. I thought nothing of it, so I've gone to the door, I've knocked on it, and what I didn't know was the manager's office at Hull is facing the door, and from nowhere Brian Horton's come out and almost gone at me, and I thought, and everything Sam said actually happened. So I have been in a touchline area where that's been part of my responsibility. I was an assistant back then, or a coach back then, but as a manager, I don't think I've shushed another manager.
It's not a good look, is it?
I probably said things that I look back, and I'm quite open with Jim quite a lot of the time. I've said many things that I look back with tremendous embarrassment. So I'm not saying I haven't done it, but I'd like to think that I hadn't.
Yeah, I mean, I get the impression, Simon, that maybe number twos in the game, who are told to stay in their lane these days, just the manager can be out there, that this kind
Don't
of routine,
start him on this, because this is going to be a whole new...
It's just totally unnecessary, isn't it?
Why?
They're doing it for
So
effect. They're doing it so that they're seen on camera, and they're like, I'm going to make sure that people see this.
Maybe. I mean, you know, Tindall is one of those, isn't he? But notwithstanding that, he wouldn't do it unless Eddie Howe allowed him to operate in that way. That would have been encouraged, I suspect, by his manager. And so what? Who's Klopp? And look at the way he behaves sometimes.
But it's not necessary, is it?
There's loads of things that are not necessary.
You said before...
Why are their eyes not in the game?
I don't think so. Yeah, but you're trying to eke every ounce of possibility of winning a game, and if you can wind somebody up in that process to stop them, almost like when you're on a football pitch, a player will say something or do something to stop somebody being
How
effective.
would you react if I was in the opposing technical area and I'm giving it to you,
With
Karl?
laughter, I suspect.
I would probably just say something quite sarcastic or stupid back and just start laughing.
Yeah, well, that's
especially
it.
you would anyway.
That's a reaction that it should
No,
get.
but you said before, Jim, about the
shut
cameras.
up and sit down.
So what did Klopp do then? Because I was more interested in watching the game rather than the nonsense in the technical
Well, that's what I'm
area.
saying, but I'm suggesting that Tindall should have been the same.
Well,
I
there
know you
is
said
that.
before about the cameras around. Honestly, when you're in them moments, you don't think of cameras. I'd be surprised. Maybe some people might, but I don't see how you have that ability to think of cameras and.
Yes, you do. You know that.
I'm just trying to evaluate.
You're aware of the
I'm
fact
just
that
trying
you're on
to
camera all the time.
Evaluate the hierarchical structure of the conversation and obviously understanding it. What's the issue here? What's the problem?
I think the problem is the look of it. Why do it? Why do it?
Because he wanted to.
It's akin to that. Come on.
But I think it
Well,
would have been.
it's not like Mourinho walking across the dugout and poking a finger in someone's eye when he was Real Madrid's manager. We're not in that territory, are we? What we're basically saying is that because Jason Tindall's a number two and because Klopp is Klopp, whoever he is, there should be no interaction.
Well, I think really the finger's pointed at you being a number two. You're not even the manager. Number two, maybe stay in your lane, know your place.
Okay.
But equally, the number two's responsibility is to support the team to win as well. Not by any means, but if there's obviously something gone on along the line where
of course,
he's wound Tindall up or Klopp's been wound up by Tindall. If you knew somebody bites very easy at something, why would you not do it? In a way, because if you know you can affect somebody to support your team winning, but it ended up obviously Liverpool winning. So whether Klopp turned around towards the end of the back to him.
Yeah, I mean that is the ultimate irony, isn't it? That the bottom line is that they lost the game. So it becomes, but I don't see the issue in it. I mean, Klopp's coaches have got plenty to say for themselves. I don't have an issue with it.
I think it's Tindall. I think obviously last year there's an awful lot made of it, and I think everyone wants to speak a little bit more than what actually they should.
On Everton. And I want to put this to you straight, Karl. You think Everton maybe aren't as bad as they've been made out to be at this time? No. 3 defeats from 3, no goals scored.
I don't think they
doesn't get much worse than that.
It doesn't, but do you know sometimes you watch games of football and you think it's not far until that turns. Whether the fans turn and then it becomes a much more difficult place to play, yes, granted, I can see that.
Well, I tell you what, give Everton fans listening.
I don't think Everton will go down.
Give them something to cling to. Are there 3 worst teams in Everton?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes, I think there is. Yes.
Go on.
And I think Sheffield United will be in trouble. Obviously, Luton, everyone's speaking about how difficult it's going to be for them. I spoke very openly a few weeks ago. Wolves, this was before the manager went in. I might have had a little bit of a change of heart on that because seeing what he's done, especially in the first game. But and obviously them going to Everton and getting the result. I think Everton, and seeing the back end of last season, what Sean did, knowing obviously we were at Leeds, how much better they can be. I think they've got power, pace, energy, a good manager. And I'm sure at a certain stage they will find a striker that can support everything else that they're doing on a football pitch.
And keep Michael Keane out the side. That might help you.
I mean, yeah, honestly, Evertonians don't have their problems to seek, though, do they? Having gone through what they've gone through at the late stages of the last 2 seasons, and now this, the start of a new season.
But you can't just wave a magic wand, though, Jim. You can't just wave a magic wand and all of a sudden what happened last season is not going to be there this season. I think what has disappointed me as a fan, obviously Calvert-Lewin not being fit is a big loss to them. They need a striker. And the ownership has to look for something to support that team. You mentioned for Michael Keane. I know there's mistakes that they made at the weekend for the goal as well. But for me, they are good enough to stay in the Premier League this season. I think they've got enough quality in their team to do that. And I do believe that the ownership needs to find, whether it's the money or the ability to bring in a striker to sort of consolidate that.
I just wonder what the likes of Deitch and the players, what the conversations are like at the moment at Finch Farm when they get together. Weekend 1, defeat, no goals. Weekend 2, defeat, no goals. So they get together again as they go into match 3. What does that produce? No goals, defeat. So when they get together for the next time at the training ground, it's like, okay, we're going to try now.
What do you say? Yeah, I get that. What do you say when continuously you've been saying the same things on a Monday morning about
right? What can you say that's different?
Well, it's almost having faith in your capabilities, one as a manager, and the faith that you show in your team, the positivity that you have to continuously carry through to week in, week out, regardless of the result. Sometimes, and this is on a completely different level, I know Simon said before, it's not the same level, but I've had them moments when you can't score a goal. And you, by hook or by crook, you try everything to find a way. You change your system, and fundamentally, by changing your system and going away from what was actually good, that's when you find yourself lost.
Yeah.
Sometimes the answer is so small that it might seem so simple as well. And a manager like Sean Dyche, when I first started, I would have tried to change your system. I would have done so many things, and actually, that consistent change makes it even worse for the players. I think that ability to stick to the same shape, stick to the same system, and work on something that becomes a consistent element of their play will support victories.
And it'll come good. I mean, they get Sheffield United this Saturday.
Oh, at Goodison.
At Sheffield. So if there's a time...
And you've just seen Sheffield United make it very difficult for Manchester City. Listen, this is the job that Sean Dyche is in. He understands the reality of what he needs to do and what he doesn't need to do. They've had 3 games. They weren't that bad against Fulham. They were unlucky. They were awful defensively against Aston Villa for a variety of reasons, predominantly because they made very simple and basic errors that they shouldn't have made. They've changed the formation around. They've taken one particular player out. They put another one in. They were better against Wolves. And he knows what they need. They need to be able to score goals.
Well, better might be the man.
And so I think that Sean Dyche will fix the problem. And this is the business of being a football manager. We can all be football managers when you're winning games. That's not difficult, is it?
He spoke really well those time before the season, didn't he? There was a number of managers who were in that bottom echelon on the Premier League complaining about what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
And I thought Sean came across really clear.
Well, he must have known this. Unless he's been sold a pup, he must have known precisely what he was going to do. We sat here a year ago, 10 months ago with Sean, saying that he wasn't prepared to look at championship jobs because he felt that there was another Premier League job and he'd earned the right to get one.
Yeah.
Now, he must have understood the mechanics of what he was going into Everton for, unless they've sold him a complete and utter pup.
Well, I don't think so much Dyche, Simon. I think the players, they're due a return, are they not?
If you were a chairman of Everton or Crystal Palace and you were in that situation I don't think you get many better than him.
No, I would have
for
faith.
that.
I would have
No, I
faith in
agree.
Sean. I mean,
Yeah.
Sean spoke last week about the necessity of the media to stop turning it into a crisis. He might not help Sean when you turn around and say to the media that you were prepared to sub the entire team at half time. That might have been a little unwise. But notwithstanding that, I have absolute faith in that Sean Dyche will find a solution. He will find a solution. But the first thing to do is stop conceding goals. If you're not going to win these games, stop losing them. You know, and that probably would have been the situation against Wolves. But you get to the 87th minute, they concede a goal. The Aston Villa game is the one that stands out because that was a poor performance.
Sheffield United next. We shall see. 12:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.